Join Tarsha on this journey to discover the rest. Go.
Welcome to the Adoption Journey Podcast. I am your host, Tarcia Smith, and welcome back to another journey. Before we get started, I want to remind you, please go like, share, follow, subscribe, do all the things, and then go tell 10 of your friends to do the same thing. So, today is going to be a little different. Today's guest is me. It has been a very long time since I have just sat in front of this camera and just talked to you guys. And being that this is going to be the last episode of 2024, and it so happens to also be the 75th episode, just wow. I decided, you know what? I have not, in a very long time, just talked to the people and let you know what my journey has been like since May 19th of 2023, which is when all of this started. So allow me to reintroduce myself for those that do not know. My name is Tarcia Smith. I am the host of this podcast, the Adoption Journey Podcast. I am a same-race adoptee. I was adopted all of my life. I grew up knowing that. So if you want to know the detail, and I am in reunion with both my maternal and paternal sides. I found my birth mother in that side in 2012, and I found my birth father in that side of the family in 2023. Just last year, all of that just recently happened. If you have not heard me tell either stories, I'm not doing that today, but I will drop in the link I will drop in the description the link to those episodes, and then you can go back and listen at your leisure. What I wanted to do today was a couple of things. The very first thing I wanted to do was say thank you. There are so many people, and I don't think I want to get into naming names, although I am going to name just a couple. But I do want to thank everybody for just holding me down, even when I didn't realize that you were holding me down. Every person that has come up to me or called me or text me or whatever, and they're like, "Girl, I listened to every episode." Girl. And I'm like, "What?" You just don't know who's watching. You don't know who's paying attention. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. It means everything to me. But the ones, there's a couple people that just in private, when the cameras are off, when the lights are off, that have just held me down when I'm not having a good day, when I'm unsure, when I'm whatever. And the first person, of course, is my husband, Jimmy Smith. For those of you that know, that is B period with Brother with Questions podcast. Thank you, babe. I appreciate you. My parents. Thank you, Mom and Dad. My family. Thank you for praying, for listening, all the things. Phyllis, I love you, girl. Thank you. Kathy, I appreciate you. Thank you. So those are the people I wanted to name, like give a shout out. But there's so many more. The list goes on of incredible people that I have met in this adoption community that I didn't even know existed until 2023, until I dived in headfirst into this crazy world. So I wanted to just say thank you. It's appreciated, the love, the prayers, the support. I appreciate it. Okay, so now we got that out of the way. I also I wanted to talk about what these conversations have meant to me, what they have done for me, because ever since my first 3 episodes, I have done nothing but talk to people. And this platform has turned into a storytelling platform. Y'all come on here and tell all the things, all the business, and we're here for it. We're here for the tea, okay? And but what you don't know is that every single conversation you're doing something for me. I'm taking something away, a perspective, a light bulb moment, just things that I would never have considered. Um, you have heard me say it's not my personal testimony that I had a bad experience with adoption. I was adopted into an amazing family. That's my testimony. And something I've learned, I'm not the only one with that testimony. I've also learned, unfortunately, there are a lot of you who don't have that testimony. And that is the craziness of adoption. It's so different for everybody. We all have different walks. I also I didn't know, because why would I ever had it was nothing that I ever thought about. I didn't know that people had such strong opinions about adoption until I started having these conversations and all of the different opinions that there are. And it made me appreciate, and it makes me appreciate every single story that I hear, because I want to understand and I want the world to hear your stories, because you're helping somebody every single time you open your mouth, because the world needs to hear all of our stories, because we all have a story. Um, I'm going to take it back to me personally again. It is also my testimony that when I never grew up being angry about my adoption. I cannot explain. Well, you know what? In hindsight, now that I'm doing this, I believe I had to, God had to make sure I had a certain outlook on this, and I had to feel a certain way about it so I can move the way I'm moving right now. I think had I had any other kind of experience, or had I been angry or whatever, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing right now. So I think it's because of the lived experience and the perspective that I have, and it's open. Y'all know I'm wide open. I will talk to anybody, have any conversation, because everybody, again, I understand that everybody needs to hear these stories. But back to me, when I found my birth mother in 2012, it solidified for me that I was exactly where I was supposed to be. I'm gonna let that sit right there for a second, because I know some of y'all are squirming in your seats right now. But that's my testimony. It's my lived experience. Baby, this little girl was not supposed to be on the west side of Chicago. And when I met them, when I heard the stories, even verbally out of their mouth, I thank God that I was where I was and not there. I don't know that I could have survived it. That's how I truly feel. Had I not been put up for adoption, I don't know that I would even be here right now. I don't know if I could have survived it. It was that bad. Again, my story, my testimony. And the beauty of adoption, and I'm choosing my words carefully, and I said beauty on purpose, is that everybody, it's unique to everybody. It's so different for everybody. And right now I'm speaking as an adoptee for our stories, because our stories are the ones that kind of get lost in the noise, because the world has done an amazing job at uh, talking about the adoptive parents. And hold on, I'm coming around the corner. Adoptive parents, I'm coming. Give me a second. But that's why all of these podcasts, these books, all of these things, when it comes to adoptees, it's important. The work is so important. Um, to my adoptive parents that have come on the show, while I am not an adoptive parent, I appreciate your stories as well. I appreciate the fact that you want to lean in and listen and understand the unique perspective, because there are a lot of adoptive parents, they just jump in and they don't know what they're doing. They just out here just adopting kids and just doing the most. And then we hear these stories, right? So for the adoptive parents that have come on the show, I thank you for wanting the education, for wanting to learn. I am not here to judge, um, but it speaks volumes to me that I've heard most of all of you, actually. I've heard all of you say, I want to get this right. I understand. And I also have a unique perspective because I'm tapping in. Continue to tap in. And if you have friends that also want to adopt or become adoptive parents, encourage them to tap in. There's a whole community, and there's no perspective like an adoptee perspective. Somebody with a lived experience. So thank you, adoptive parents that have come on the show, to also tell your story. Um, something else amazing that has happened, uh, and if you all knew the backstory and the behind the scenes of the Black Adoptee Meetup, you would be amazed that we even were able to pull that off. Okay. Again, another shout out to Kathy Garland, my ride or die. She and I had just, we talk and just conversations. It was like, well, where what are the Black people doing? Where they at? Where they at? Let's get them together. It was literally a conversation, something very close to that. And a huge shout out to everybody that came to Atlanta for the first Black Adoptee meetup, because the only way I can put that into words is that we just had this unspoken bond, and the rest was history. It was very informal. You've heard us kind of talk about it. You've seen the pictures, but just to come together, to just be. It was, I don't even really have the words. But again, another thank you for 2024. And yes, we are doing it again in 2025, bigger and better. So stay tuned. Um, Depending on when you are listening to this, registration is opening soon. If we're still in 2024, just know registration is opening soon. So just keep your eyes and ears open. Um, Another thing that I wanted to touch on is I wanted to thank the adoption community for allowing me the time and the space to even do this. And thank you for even helping me um, gain a new perspective on my own lived experience. When I first started doing this, and even when you go back and listen to my super early conversations when I'm just talking about me, I would be the first to say I didn't have any trauma. And that makes me chuckle right now. And Kathy, stop laughing because I know you are. Um, but what I have learned, and it's from these conversations and from talking to all of you, it looks very different and comes in different sizes and shapes and forms for all of us. And of course, I've had my own trauma when it comes to adoption. And yeah, I want to thank the adoption community for helping me to understand myself even more and to be able to put some things into perspective that I thought was just me. And in the words of Jasmine from Once an Orphan podcast, she said, "Oh, girl, you're not crazy. You just adopted." Yep. That's so true for a lot of us. Um, this is not going to be this. It wasn't never intended to be a long conversation or a talk, but I do want to end on the note of encouragement. I want to encourage you to rest, um, and be okay with resting. For those of us that do the work, you need to rest. It's grueling, it's taxing, it's tiring, and we need you. So that means we need you to rest. So, in the words of my big mama, sit down somewhere sometime, okay? It's okay. Um, I also want to encourage you. Mm, we are adopted. We are adoptive parents. We are foster parents. We are the community. But we're so much more. We're so much more. So it's okay to not just do adoption. Be okay with that. So many of you have um, skills and talents and all these other things that you do that we never get to see because every time you get in front of the camera, you're talking about adoption. And that's okay, but let's find balance. Let's find balance so you don't wear yourself out. And in 2020, you guys kind of already see that from me. Um, but you're going to really see it in 2025. Balance. Let's have some balance. But let's continue to do the work because it's so important and it's so needed. And I know other fellow podcasters and authors and people that do TED Talks and all the things. We're helping people every single time we open our mouths. You don't know who's listening. You don't know who's paying attention. They might not like a post. They might not share a post. They might not comment on the post. They might not even say anything to you, but I promise you, you're helping somebody. Because for every person that does, there's probably 10 more that you'll never hear from, but you've made a difference. So y'all keep doing the work, but find balance and rest. So that's my closing thoughts to you for 2024. Again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I can't wait for 2025. We'll be back. I believe it's January 10th. I believe that's the date, but um, with a brand new episode of the Adoption Journey podcast and all the other things that are to come for 2025. So happy holidays. Happy New Year. I love y'all. Bye, family.
Journey, journey on, journey, journey on. You need a pie with the good, good? Oh yeah, with the store.